David, quite some news this morning that Pence is going to be stumping on the trail for Kemp. Not that surprising, given you've seen Kemp as a pretty comfortable lead here, but it is when you look back at video from January 4th, 2021, and Pence was on the trail for David Perdue in Georgia.
Yeah, well, as you point out, Kaitlan, he's jumping on a fast-moving train, so it's a pretty smart move for Pence. But Pence, as you know, Pence has staked out this territory. He's decided, Trump may blame Kemp for Georgia. He blames Pence for losing the election because he thinks Pence should have intervened. Pence has now embraced that decision, and he's doubling down by going in for Kemp. He sees an opportunity to inflict a loss on Trump. And of course, he's looking forward to 2024 as well.
Yeah, again, Mike Pence knows that everyone is noticing this, David. It's not like Mike Pence is sneakily walking into Georgia for this announcement. Yes. He knows that it's going to make waves.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. No, I think there's a message here. There's a statement here, and there's a chance to inflict a loss on someone who may be a rival in 2024 in seeking the presidency. So the political logic of Pence going in is very, very clear.
Wow, we're looking like Pence versus Trump, but in multiple ways, not just as far as running for president, as you heard there from CNN as they spoke on the panel about it, but also in endorsing which candidate they're backing in Georgia's gubernatorial race. So Mike Pence, as you guys heard, they're set to go down to Brian Kemp's rally in Georgia. Of course, also Donald Trump is against that entire candidacy, again, because of the 2020 election and his continual talk about fraudulent votes, especially down there in Georgia. So more details on this. So Pence's planned appearance on Monday at a primary eve rally for Georgia Governor Brian Kemp will cap a coordinated effort by Republican officials trying to wrest back control of the party from the twice impeached former president that they once served. Pence joins a parade of GOP leaders. This includes Governor Doug Ducey, Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who have visited Georgia in recent days to help Kemp overcome the revenge campaign that Trump launched against him for certifying Joe Biden's win in 2020. So also, so now that he has this whole thing going against him, he has his personal vendetta, the battle lines are being drawn. Who's going to be behind Pence? Who's going to be behind Trump? Is it bad that I actually am looking forward to that? So either way it goes, let's look more into this back and forth and how upset Trump is at Pence for not certifying this election. Let's check this out.
But long before that, he must overcome vicious criticism from the loudest voice in the Republican Party.
Brian Kemp is a turncoat, he's a coward, and he's a complete and total disaster.
Georgia has been the object of Donald Trump's obsession since narrowly losing the state in 2020. He's never forgiven Kemp and other GOP officials for refusing to meddle in the election.
Brian Kemp, he sold you out. He didn't look, he didn't want to look, he didn't want anything to do with it.
Gone are the days when Trump, Perdue, and Kemp were all part of a unified Republican family. Deep divisions, rooted in the big election lie, are now at the heart of the Georgia primary.
So what I'm frustrated with is that we can't get our Republican leaders to investigate. They say, well, we've audited, we've looked at all that. They have not. They have not done that.
At rallies,
they attacked and cheated on our elections, and they did it right here in Georgia also.
And in TV ads.
Brian Kemp let us down. We can't let it happen again.
Trump blames others for his defeat.
President Trump has called you a turncoat, a coward. What do you say to Georgians who are making up their mind right now, whether if they should listen to him or listen to you?
I would tell Georgians I can't control what other people are saying.
I will tell George. Okay, so the battle lines are drawn, as you guys can see there. But this is the thing. So as they found out who's going to win this proxy war between Trump and Pence over who they're backing down there in Georgia, Pence is setting this up for a potential presidential run. Let's jump down to graphic for you guys, because in an interview before a speech last month in Iowa, Mr. Pence pointedly declined to rule out running, even if Mr. Trump also enters the 2024 primary. We'll go where we're called, is what Pence said, explaining that he and his wife would act on prayer. That's the way Karen and I have always approached these things. So apparently God is going to tell Mike Pence whether or not he should be running against Donald Trump. So all this build up, all this backing of certain people, all this visiting of certain folks, and also not necessarily ruling out running in 2024. That's him not deciding yet. That's him waiting for God to tell him what to do. Come on, stop. Okay, so more about this, because actually I want to jump down to the backlash that he's receiving. So graphic number 8, you guys, because he's saying all this. He's kind of not saying it, but he kind of is, because that's what politicians have to do, at least until it's closer to presidential time. So let's check this out, because this spokesperson isn't very happy. Donald Trump's isn't. So Trump spokesperson Taylor Buttigieg lashed out at former Vice President Mike Pence for backing a number of non-MAGA Republicans in this year's primaries ahead of a potential 24 presidential bid, calling him desperate to chase his lost relevance. Lost relevance with who? Okay, more. He says Mike Pence was set to lose a governor's race in 2016 before he was plucked up and his political career was salvaged, is what Buttigieg continued on saying. Now, desperate to chase his lost relevance, Pence is parachuting into races, hoping someone is paying attention. The reality is, President Trump is already 82-3 with his endorsements, and there's nothing stopping him from saving America in 2022. Oh God, okay, yeah. This sounds like Buzz Lightyear, yes. So what are your thoughts about this whole thing? We've covered a lot, from the backing of certain folks for governor and also potentially running in 24.
Well, I'm excited about the new Buzz Lightyear movie with Chris Evans, Captain America, so that's fun. But I think that this is all very amusing, obviously, but what it is, I've always said that one thing that the Republican Party has done very well, much better than the Democrats have been able to do, is to present a unified front, right? And now we're finally seeing that unified front start to sever. And we have these two different factions now that are being led by Donald Trump and his former Vice President Mike Pence. Now, Mike Pence somehow has come out of this looking like the savior of American democracy, but he's still a very dangerous person, and he's still somebody that most Americans would not want being the president. And if he's considering running for president in 2024, that's something that Democrats and really a lot of Americans, whether or not you identify as Republican or Democrat, should keep an eye on. And that quote that you read about how he's just gonna wait and see what God tells him and his Karen wife to do, which is funny that that's her name, is indicative of a lot of where he stands. And considering everything that we're seeing coming out of the Supreme Court right now and out of the GOP across the nation in different state and local governments, maybe Mike Pence is thinking this is the time for Mike Pence, And the whole time he was the vice president, we didn't really hear much from him, which so a lot of Americans don't really know him, don't really know his politics. He seems kind of harmless. He seems like a nice, nice, simple guy, I guess. But his politics are not anything that I would want to be governed by.
But that's what they're not showing. And that's maybe why he thinks this is gonna work out for him. He was the guy that was behind Trump. Anybody who loved Trump must have loved him. And this is just enough of a split for him to be like, yeah, I was with Trump, but I'm a little bit different. Because we know the entire Republican Party hates Donald Trump, never wanted him to be president. But once he became that, they said, we can use this. And now he still continues it in a roundabout way, but he's gotta separate himself somehow. And this is it.